Ahoy! Today we're talking about how right I was. No, I'm just kidding. I already did that on Twitter. Don't need to do that again. I'm just happy to have these results here finally, to finally underline what I've been preaching for a long time now. Ajax has released the updated guard data for Danzaburou, which was initially just the first like day one, and then there was the 15th day for the other guards, but not for Danzaburou yet. And I said that based on the fact that the Danzaburou's win rate here at spot 24 is extremely high, and that is similar to Cthulhu, or better than Cthulhu even, who was at 57 and then went up a lot to 6. I would expect him to go very, very high, and then there was a lot of back and forth. But yeah, the damage is different, blah, blah, blah. Tsukuyomi was better on day one, but I said that I think Tsukuyomi is a lot easier to play than Danzaburou, like easier to play well. Danzaburou is not only an ADC, but also has a lot more in-depth mechanics that you can make use of and that you can learn or need to learn first. And that has happened. And my prediction came very true. So we have Danzaburou on day 15, as well as the whole Danzaburou patch. And we can see here that he is spot number 2 in win rate. The only one who's currently above him is Hades, because Hades in anything that's not competitive is just very good. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, it means he's getting nerfs. I mean, Hyrus already confirmed that he's getting nerfs. But I know that at some point people said, oh, he's not that great. He maybe needs some minor nerfs and that's it. Seeing him in spot number 2, I don't believe that. I think he may not need crazy nerfs, but at least some relatively fundamental nerfs to put him more in line with other characters, because he's also spot number 9 in damage. Across the whole Danzaburou patch, or spot number 11 right now, but that's really just, a little bit of bouncy up and down cushioning of where exactly is. And even in non-conquest, his day 15 spot was number 3, and as a whole, even including the first day with the learning curve, he's still in spot number 6. So he's doing very, very, very well, and we haven't really seen his ranked performance yet, of course. So that's something that could influence how he does overall as well. I'm sure it will, but I do think that he will see nerfs. And what I think is also important here, we're looking at the other characters here, right? We still have Tsukuyomi, who's doing better. He was in spot number 1 in terms of win rate, and number 2 in terms of damage. And this is his spot now, so he's still pretty good overall. And still does more damage than Danzaburou, actually. But we're like looking at all these guards, they never really ended up in the spot like this after a while. And all of these guards are way more established in where they should be played. Mulan, solo / jungle, really. Baba Yaga, primarily mid, then maybe solo. Cthulhu, solo support, and Tsukuyomi, jungle, and then maybe some other things. Danzaburou is a great ADC, a potential mid laner, a potential solo laner, and, in my opinion, a very good jungler. And I want to briefly talk about the weak points of Danzaburou here, because one thing that Supersonic Blur pointed out is that one of his weak points is level 1 to 3, except in duo, because what the enemy can do is body block your 1, and then it'll slow down your clear, even though they take a fair bit of damage for that. So it's a trade-off. But that's a possibility, especially in solo. And also what I think is the case for Danzaburou is that he just is very gankable, and that gives him a little bit of weakness there, especially if the enemy jungler or whoever is ganking him has a dot or has a crusher or something, anything to break his 3, break the leaf. I think that makes him relatively gankable. Because his mobility is not the best and he can body block his ultimate. So he just, either goes into you full damage or is able to peel you off with his 2. He still has good tools to get away, but not the best tools. And both of those things are avoided by playing him in jungle. You're not going to get ganked regularly in jungle. That's just not how jungle works. You're the one ganking. And you also have insane level 1 clear. The early game potential in jungle is absolutely ridiculous, because you can reliably use all 3 projectiles, and if you know how to bounce on the walls, then you can reflect things back immediately. I actually made a video about that, but I never released it. It's not worth it at this point, I think, because we're just going to get the new map, so I'm just going to do it for that one. But I think his jungle potential, in my eyes, is probably even higher than his ADC potential. And these stats here will mostly be ADC. Most people will just have played him ADC. Sure, there are people who play him jungle, of course, but the majority of games where I saw him being played, he was in ADC or sometimes in solo mid. And I think if that shifts, that might actually impact his win rate or his damage, everything a little bit more. Damage is always an odd one in jungle anyways, because as a jungler, you typically do less damage for a significant portion of the game because you're not poking anyone. So the damage value may not necessarily change, but I think a jungle alone can hold his win rate up if he shifts more towards that. So I definitely think he needs nerfs before that happens. Maybe nerfs that also reduces jungle clear specifically, so we don't run into a second Apollo that we already have in the jungle now. Which I think it's fine if Danzaburou can end up jungling, don't get me wrong. I just think he shouldn't be like completely overwhelming in the way that he is right now, and effectively be able to avoid all those weak points by going into a role where he was not primarily designed, that he was not primarily designed for. So yeah, we'll see how things go. We'll see a nerf to him probably tomorrow. We're gonna get the patch notes, yeah, tomorrow, today, depending on when you're watching this, where you are. And then we'll learn more. But I wanted to quickly just talk about the win rate, since that's been a conversation that's been going on and people have been asking about this day 15 win rate. So here it is. These are the stats we have now, and we'll see how that goes into the future, basically. With that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please sub button and ring the bell. And on that, I'll see you later for, well, first another video, and then also patch notes. ZiSotto out.